Hi, I'm Wendy Brand. I'm a culture consultant and coach. And I'm just popping in here today, again this week, to talk to you a little about creating an intentional culture. And I work with organizations really to help them be intentional about their culture. And I have a free workshop next week that I'd love for you to be a part of. And I wanted to just start by posing a couple questions to you, and you can decide if this is the right thing for you or not. When I think about creating an intentional culture, for me, it starts with your core values, your mission, your vision, anchoring your employees to what's important, and not just the mission, vision, core values. Those are standard, but also what are the behaviors that you're looking for that tie back to those core values? What are the expectations that you're setting for your team? Now, that may sound really simple, and at first glance it is, but the behaviors are the things that are the tricky part. And there's different ways across what I call the employee life cycle or across processes and systems in your organization that you can begin to operationalize how you think about your culture, how you can make it intentional and part of the day-to-day systems and operation. And I'll give you an example. So, if you had to think about what you could prioritize in 2026 that would help you to become intentional about your culture, I'm going to give you a couple examples of what those could possibly be. And you can think about it and decide if these are areas that there are opportunities right now in your organization or if you have these things covered. The first one I would say is refreshing your core values and the behaviors associated with them. So if you've been in business for a while, you've had those same core values, that's okay. Sometimes core values can last forever. But when you have a pivot in the business, if the leadership changes, oftentimes it's important to go back and look at those core values. If you have product changes, new products that have come online, going back and looking at those core values and then the behaviors that are aligned to them. And so what that could look like is if one of your core values is integrity, we all know what integrity means, but what does that mean for you in your organization? And what should employees be doing that is aligned with integrity? Or what are the behaviors that, if they're happening, then that's not up to your standards, or that's not doesn't fit within the culture that you want in your organization? So getting really clear, and it might be an opportunity to refresh, to revisit the core values, make sure they still stand for what you believe in as an organization, and then that those behaviors are um are also aligned. The second thing is your onboarding. So how do you bring employees into the organization? Are you hiring them and putting them right to work, or are they learning a little bit about the history of the company, getting to meet people across the organization so that once they get into their role, that it doesn't become a siloed team or a siloed position, but they're able to work cross functionally because they've been given the advantage of understanding who works where, getting to know people, building those relationships. Those first 90 days are really important, not because of what the employee can bring to you in the first 90 days, but what you can provide to the employee to set them up for success in the first 90 days. So looking at your onboarding, making sure that they're made aware of what are those core values and behaviors, what is the vision, where are we headed in 2026? So as you onboard new employees, they're brought into the culture in an intentional way. You'll notice I say intentional a lot because in my mind that is really the important piece of culture, because everybody has a culture. And I believe that if you're intentional, if leadership is intentional about how you create that culture, then it will be responsive in what you're looking for. So the next thing is eliminating low value meetings. I cannot tell you how many times I visit organizations, and one of the first things that we do is look at the meeting structure and readjust. If those meetings that are happening every day, all day, don't serve a critical purpose, they are draining your people and it is unproductive. It's a simple one, but it's also oftentimes a difficult one for people to let go of recurring meetings that maybe no longer have value. Training managers on consistent expectations, making sure that managers know what's expected of them so that that trickles down to their team as well. And then performance clarity. This is a big one that I think oftentimes organizations don't always think about things like how long is it okay for someone to be a high performer and not be promoted? Or how long is it okay for someone to be a low performer, rated low in their performance reviews time after time, and not be written up or exited the company? How long do we allow them to sit? And there may not be a wrong answer, but it's what is your answer? What do you want to be intentional about in saying, here's where we draw the line and how long you can be a low performer, and here's where we want to make sure that we're taking care of our best employees and elevating them in whatever way that looks like, whether it's a promotion, more learning opportunities. It doesn't matter. It's different for every organization, but that you're being intentional about rewarding and recognizing those high performers also. And then finally, the last thing I'll say is if you're a CEO or a C suite leader, you're the owner, you're an entrepreneur, and you're just starting the organization and you've got a couple employees under you, whatever the size of the company, um, how are you delegating? How are you making sure that you're allowing people to do their jobs? It's a big one, and it can be one of the biggest roadblocks to a successful culture when the leader is unable to step out of the way and allow their team to elevate and perform at the right level. So that's just a handful of things. It's an example of what we're going to talk about and really help you get clear on in our workshop coming up. Again, it's Tuesday. It's next week, the week of Thanksgiving. So hopefully you can spare an hour to just uh, jump on the workshop and spend a little time thinking about how you could create an intentional culture in 2026. I'm going to give you the roadmap. I'm going to give you a workbook that you can follow along. Again, it's just an hour-long meeting at 10 a.m. Central. If you're interested in joining, go to culturecoachwendy.com/webinar series. I really hope you'll join us. Thanks so much.